doing today? We're getting rid of our portal. The portal that transports you from the living room to the kitchen that has this beautiful surfboard like Ron John's. It's going. It's getting out of here. And we're going to make a beautiful arch. So if you want to see how we do it, and when I say we, I don't mean me. Keep watching.
Hey everyone, so I'm going to attempt to talk my way through this entire project so you know exactly what we're doing in each step. But basically we just started out with the demo work, just tearing out all of these built-ins and this previous wall where we're going to do the arch. And so we used this multi-tool, hammers, crowbars, drills, anything that we could to get this wall taken down. And of course, I've never taken on a project this big, so I had to recruit my dad to help us out, and that was a lot of help getting all of this stuff tore out and of course rebuilding it. The first step on building this arch was to rip down one of our sheets of plywood to this long strip, and then this is the hardest part. So basically I drew 1,000 lines and held the light while my dad cut a bunch of cuts half through the plywood all the way across the board. And the reason we did this was to make it bend without breaking. And so once we got it in the spot and made the exact arch that we wanted, Emily and I held it up while my dad nailed it in. And after that, we went ahead and used 2x4s to frame in some brackets for us to just shoot that arch to make it hold the exact position that we wanted. Next, we went ahead and ripped down a few more pieces of that plywood to complete the inside trim of the arch, and we got those nailed down on the left and right side to complete that inside trim. And so we wanted to make sure it was all flush with the top piece, so I sanded down the edges. Before we could do the outside trim though, we had to finish off all of the drywall from the holes that we had cut out. So the easiest way to do this was hold it into place and then use a pencil to trace that shape of the arch. And it fit perfect. All we had to do to patch all of these holes of drywall was to cut the drywall down to fit the exact size that we needed, screw it into all of the studs, and then use drywall mud to fill all of the cracks and give it a nice skim coat over everything. My dad is no pro drywall person, but he is much better than me, so I let him do all of that drywall work. The next step is to cut the arch shape for our outside trim. Basically, we just held up the piece of plywood with 2 screws, and I traced the exact shape from the inside. We measured a few inches out, and then we cut it out with our circular saw and a jigsaw. I sanded all of those edges to make sure it was nice and straight, and then we held it up in the spot that we wanted it and nailed that in. Then we just repeated those exact same steps to get the arch-shaped trim for the other side of the wall. Then I noticed that I left the baseboard on both sides, so I used my multi-tool, cut those baseboards out so we could finish off the trim on both sides of the wall, which these are just straight cuts after we had ripped down the plywood. Now that Dad had helped us do all the building, it was time for me and Emily to go ahead and finish off this project. And so we taped all of the trim and we painted all of that new drywall, our original cottage white that we want our walls to be. And then I went ahead and used a early American stain for this arch, and I think that this stain color is perfect. It goes really well with our white walls, and eventually we're gonna do floors, and so that's kind of how we came up with this color stain. But basically, same way I do any project, I just took a old rag and I wiped on all of the stain and wiped off all of the excess. After all the stain dried, the next step is to use your sealer or your clear coat. I use this triple thick polyacrylic in a high gloss finish for this project. I think that the gloss gives it a really nice look when it comes to trim, and we wanted this to be a statement piece, so I did several coats of that, lightly sanding in between coats with our sanding block. The next step is to use wood filler. We used Minwax because they make the exact same color as the stain we chose. I smushed it in with my finger and then wiped off all the excess. I think that's the easiest way to do that.
And here is the finished product, y'all. I am so thrilled with how this turned out. They literally took all my dreams and made them come true. I'm so thankful for the boys' work on this. They worked so hard, and I'm so proud of them. And I'd love to know what you think about it in the comments. Do you like this better than our portal?
I definitely do. I think it joins our kitchen and our living room beautifully, and I could not be more thrilled with this beautiful statement piece in our little home. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll catch you on the next one.